Algebra 1, test number 3 through lesson 1.4 study guide. First question tells us or asks us, when simplifying an expression, you blank, perform operations inside grouping symbols first. This looks familiar. It's right off last week's test. You always perform things inside grouping symbols first, always. Write the fraction in simplest form. The number 10 goes into both 10 and 40. 10 times 1 is 10, and 10 times 4 is 40. 1/4 is simplest form. Write 1 times itself 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times using an exponent. So 1 would be to the 6th power using an exponent. Number 4 says write 8 to the 4th power in standard form. So what that means is 8 times itself 4 times. 8 times 8 times 8 times 8. And when you multiply 8 times itself 4 times, you get 4,096. For number 5, it says 0.08 times 1.4. Multiply 1.4 times 0.08. 8 times 4 is 32. 8 times 1 plus 3 is 11. And then move that decimal however many times we got. Once, 2, 3 times, 1, 2, 3. And it becomes 0.12, 112, excuse me, 0.112. Number 5, we're adding fractions. 5 over 8 plus 8 over 12. You can't add them like this because they don't have like denominators. They have to have a common denominator. The smallest number that they both go into, 8 and 12, is the number 24. So in order to get 24 at the bottom, you need to multiply the first one by 3. 5 times 3 is 15. In order to get 24 at the bottom of the second one, you need to multiply 12 times 2. So multiply 8 times 2 as well, and you get 16. So we got plus in the middle of them now. 24 is the bottom number, so let's leave it like that. 24, 15, and 16, when you put them together, gives you the number 31. There's your simplified version. Same thing with number 7. The bottom number has to be the same. Both 12 and 9 go into the number 36. So we'll change the bottom number to 36. 12 has to multiply by 3. So multiply 9 by 3 to get 27 on top. 9 has to multiply by 4 to get 36. So multiply 4 by 4 to get 16. Now we have the same number on the bottom, 36. Subtract straight across. 29 minus 16. 9 minus 6 is 3, and 2 minus 1 is 1. 13 over 36. Multiplying fractions is easier. Multiply straight across. 6 times 1 is 6. 8 times 3 is 24. And just make sure at that point you can't reduce. We can. We could have reduced at the beginning, the 6 and the 3. But do it here if you don't early. 6 goes into itself 1 time, and it goes into 24 4 times, 1/4. Never leave a fraction unreduced. Leaving a fraction unreduced is not the same as this. There's no number that goes into 31 and 24 at the same time. There's no number that goes into 13 and 36. 1/4 divided by 5/3. Leave 1/4. Change division to multiplication and multiply by the reciprocal, 3/5. Straight across, 1 times 3 is 3. 4 times 5 is 20. There's no number that goes into both 3 and 20. 3 over 20. Number 10, write as a decimal. 2 divided by 10. If you do it that way, 2 divided by 10. You need to add a decimal with a 0. 10 goes into 20 2 times, so it's 0.2 is your decimal version. Write as a fraction in simplest form. 0.15, that's the 10th place, and this one is the 100th place. 100th place. So 15 over 100 would be written as a fraction, but it says to do it in simplest form. The number 5 goes into 15 three times, and the number 5 goes into 100 20 times, 3 over 20. Write as a percent, 4.28. Move your decimal over 2 times to the right, once, twice, 428%. Write 5 over 8 as a percent. Again, 5 divided by 8. We need to put a decimal. 8 goes into the number 50. We know that 8 times 6 is 48. So when we subtract 48 from that, we get 2. We'll bring another 0 down. 8 goes into the number 22 times. 2 times 8 is 16. 20 minus 16 is 4. We'll bring one more 0 down. 8 goes into the number 45 times. So we got 0.625. Says to write it as a percent. So we want to take that number 0.625, and just like we wrote this one as a percent, we moved it over 2 times to the right, once, twice. We're going to move this one once, twice to the right, 62.5%. Number 14, find the greatest common factor. That's a number that goes into both of these, not a multiple of both of these. People get these two confused, greatest common factor and least common multiple. The number 4 goes into both of them. There's a better number. The number 28 is the best number that goes into both of them. 28 actually goes into itself once, and it goes into 56 twice. So when you said, what is the greatest common factor, it's simply 28. If you need to factor them out, you can do it this way to see it. 1 times 28, 2 times 14. 3 doesn't go into it, neither does 4 does. 4 times 7. And that's it. And then go through the numbers for 56, and you'll get this is the biggest number that goes into both of them. The least common multiple of the set of numbers. Multiples now are when you count by them. 27, when you do 27 twice, you're going to get 54. And it's going to keep going by 27. The least common multiple, the one that they share, is 108. It'll just take you a few minutes by counting. Both of those numbers go into 108. Finding the perimeter of this one. Perimeter is the distance around something. All of this right here, when you add them all up. If this one over here is 7 feet, then that means we got 7 feet on this side. If this one right here is 3 feet, that means we got 3 feet on this side. So all you need to do is add 7 plus 3 plus 7 plus 3, and you get 20 feet as the perimeter. As an alternative, you could say perimeter equals 2L plus 2W. That's the formula. Doesn't matter which one you call L and which one you call W. When you double 7, you're going to get 14. When you double 3, you're going to get 6. And when you put those two together, you're going to get the same 20 feet. Number 17 says a car travels 309 miles in 5 hours. Find a unit rate. Remember, rate is synonymous with speed. So you're going to take 309 miles divided by 5 hours. When you divide 309 miles by 5 hours, you're going to get 61.8, because it tells us to round to the nearest tenth, if necessary, miles per hour, or per 1 hour. Almost the same problem, number 18. An athlete runs a 600-meter course in 133.3 seconds. Find the average speed. Again, You're finding the speed or the rate. We don't have miles per hour now. Now we have meters per second. 600 meters is how many meters there are. 133.3 seconds is how many seconds there are. When you divide 600 by 133.3, we're going to get this big number, 4.5011, and I believe the number continues from there. But again, we get the instructions to round to the nearest tenth. So this place here, we have to determine if 5 is going to go up or stay the same. 0, the number next to it, is not greater than 5 or 5 or greater. So this athlete is running 4.5 meters per second. That's the athlete's average speed. Number 19 and 20 tell you to write an algebraic expression for the phrase. You have to know that product means to multiply. So P times 9. You could just as easily or even neater have written that as 9P. Would mean the same thing. 9 times the sum of N and G. You know what times is. That means multiply. You need to know what sum is as well. Sum means plus. So the sum of N and G, N plus G, times 9. Remember, your order of operations tells you, though, it doesn't matter where you put the 9. If you put it up front or if you put it in the back, there's no way to get N plus G first in the order of operations unless you group N and G together with a grouping symbol or parentheses. So right here, 9 times the sum of N and G, N plus G. For 21 and 2, we're defining, just for 21, we're defining the variable, and then we're writing the expression of phrase. So it's exactly like 19 and 20, except they don't give you the letter to use or the variable. It says the quotient of 3 times a number. There you go, times a number, x. So the quotient of 3 times a number and 17. 3 times a number, so 3x, 3 times x. Quotient means division, so 3 times a number divided by 17. Evaluate u plus xy when u is 10, x is 10, and y is 5. So in place of u, we're going to plug in 10. Plus, in place of x, we're going to plug in 10. And in place of y, we're going to plug in 5. Order of operations tells us that we got to multiply before we add. So 10 times 5 is 50. And 10 plus 50 is 60. '23 says a pair of shoes cost $38.99 and the sales tax is 8%. Use the formula C equals P plus RP to find the total cost of shoes, where C is the total cost, P is the price, and R is the sales tax rate. So in place of all of these P's, we're simply going to plug in, I didn't mean to hit that one, we're going to plug in $38.99. That's the price. So there and there. Now, again, when you're talking about multiplying by percentages, you always have to change 8%. You have to change it. You have to move that decimal 1 2 times. So you're going to multiply by 0.08. So I can move that over a little bit. And that's going to give you your total cost when you do so. So when you do that, we have something that looks like this. $38.99 plus these two together is going to give you, when you do the multiplication, 3.1192. It's going to come out to $42.1092. Remember, money only goes to the hundredths place, so that 0 has to go up. to $42.11. That is your total cost with the sales tax included. 24 says to evaluate the expression a times b squared when a is 8, so 8, and b is 4, so times 4, all of that squared. So 8 times 4 is 32. You got to do what's in parentheses first. 32 squared means 32 times 32. When you multiply those two by each other, you get 1,024. 25 says you can use the formula C equals 5 over 9 times F minus 32 to convert Fahrenheit temperature to Celsius. What is 81 degrees Fahrenheit? So in place of F, we're going to plug that in. C equals 5 over 9 times 81 minus 32. 81 minus 32, 11 minus 2 is 9. 7 minus 3 is 49. So we have 5 over 9 times 49. Everything's over 1. When you multiply straight across, so 26 says 3 times 8 minus 4 squared divided by 2. You do order of operations tells you to do the innermost parentheses first. So 8 minus 4 gives you 4. That's squared divided by 2. That's still inside of a grouping symbol before it's multiplied by 3. So inside that grouping symbol, you have 4 squared divided by 2. You have to do 4 squared before you do division. 4 squared doesn't mean 8. It means 4 times 4, 2 times. So 16 divided by 2. That's still inside of a grouping symbol. 16 divided by 2 is 8. Now 8's finally multiplying by 3 to give you 24 for number that, 26. 2 times 19 plus 17 divided by 10 minus 7. Again, grouping symbols first. 19 plus 17. 9 and 7 is 16. Carry your 1. 1, 1, and 1 will be 36 in the middle. So 36 times 2 divided by, do what's inside the other grouping symbol. 10 minus 7 is 3. Now, order of operations says you do multiplication and division at the same time. So just go straight across from left to right. 2 times 36, we know 2 times 6 is 12. Carry your 1, 2 times 3 is 6, plus your 1 back is 72. 72 divided by 3, 3 goes into 7 twice. There's 1 left over, 3 goes into 12 4 times. 24. Number 28 says 3 cubed times 32 plus 12 divided by 4. Again, no sets of grouping symbols right here, but you have to evaluate exponents first. 3 to the third power does not mean 3 times 3. It means 3 times 3 times 3. You got to do it 3 times. When you do that, 3 times 3 is 9, times 3 more is 27, times 32 plus 12 divided by 4. The next step is to do your multiplication and your division. 32 times 27, 32 times 27, when you do that, is 864. And then 12 divided by 4 is plus 3. When you put those two together, you get 867. 29 says 13 times 6 squared divided by 5 squared minus 4 squared plus 9. Innermost parentheses first. Do the exponents. 5 squared is 25. Minus 4 squared is 16. Still inside of the innermost parentheses. So we still have 6 squared divided by what we have there plus 9. And all of that is still going to be multiplied by 13 eventually. 25 minus 16 is in fact 9. So you have 6 squared divided by 9 plus 9 multiplied by 13. Now order of operations tells us we have to do the exponent first. 6 squared means 6 times 6, which is 36 divided by 9 plus 9. Again, we're still inside of that parentheses, so we have to continue there. Division happens before division happens before addition. 36 divided by 9 is 4. and 4 plus 9 is still inside of that parenthesis. So 4 plus 9 is going to be 13. And finally, 13 gets to multiply by 13 to give you 169 for that one. Then number 30 tells you to evaluate the formula. V is equal to B times H divided by 3. When B is 21 square inches and H is 39 inches. So in place of B, we're going to plug in or sub in 21. And in place of H, we're going to sub in 39. So we have something that says V is equal to 21 times 39 over 3. When you multiply 21 times 39, you get 819. And when you divide that by 3, we're going to get our volume measurement, which is 273. And it'll wind up being 273 cubic inches for volume.